Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. Now, for today, we have the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only. She's back. Amanda, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm coming to you from the void of my recently adapted sound studio. So this is my badass black background.
There you go. I mean, what better way to have an incredible, super badass weekend than to be chatting already, than to be chatting again with someone that we know that is super badass. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I hope I make you proud in the badassery arena with my coming projects.
You already did. So.
Thank you.
Epic. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also, on the description below, we're gonna leave all of Amanda's social media so you can follow her. And also, I'm gonna leave the first chat we did back then, so you can check it out and be like, I get it, why she's super badass, right? Now, without further more, let's jump in here. So I want to start this conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what's new? What have you been up to since our last chat, which was like around a year and something ago?
Yeah, a year and some change. I think the last time we talked, I might have mentioned that I had a film in the works, but now I have a release date for a horror movie, found footage horror movie that I made, wrote, directed, produced, all the I wore all the hats. And my mug is pretty much the only one you see in the film. So it's a movie coming out June 28th as a sneak preview. And the official release date is July 5th. So pretty soon. It's called Witches Well, which is now a title that I can release. It's being distributed by Terror Film. So yeah, that is something I actually filmed largely during the pandemic, but post-production takes a while, and a lot of things in this arena were kind of slowed down in terms of releases, but it's finally happening. It's coming out. So that is next on deck.
There you go. You basically did everything. So, that is another reason why
I did all the
you're,
things.
there you go. I mean, who wouldn't think you're not super
some of it out of
badass?
necessity.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll see the film and disagree, but I hope it will bring you on side even more. But it was interesting because I had an idea so I had this idea largely inspired by the empty streets of Scotland where we were stuck during the pandemic, like when COVID kind of in the early days of it breaking out. I had been in the UK at the time, and very pleasantly got stuck in Edinburgh, which I was working on another film at the time. I was editing something I'd already filmed like the previous year, and I just put that all on pause because I was like, I have got to use the access that I have to this place that is normally full of tourists, like full. If you've ever been to Edinburgh near the time of like the Fringe Festival in the summer, it is like literally like a shoulder to shoulder people, but it was just completely empty. And I was like, oh, production value, because I'm making indie movies over here, low like micro budget of horror movies. And so I just really took advantage. And a lot of the film takes place kind of around Edinburgh Castle.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's a lot of so one of the reasons I was inspired to make it is because obviously the circumstances that I've described, but also we were staying near Greyfriars Kirkyard. And if other people have any interest in sort of like the paranormal, then they might already know there's a lot of lore in the area. They do a lot of like ghost tours, cemetery tours, and Greyfriars Churchyard's supposed to be very haunted. And so, yeah, I was inspired by that, and also by this memorial fountain that is by the castle, which is, of course, memorializes the witches that were hanged, burned, and drowned, and otherwise murdered in the Middle Ages in Scotland. So yeah, a lot of elements I was surrounded by, and I just paused what I was doing and made this. And now it's finally going to come out soon.
There you go. Epic and badass.
Are you a horror fan, Dan?
I am. I mean, I do enjoy every now and then a good horror film, like the
Not
last
for
one.
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the last one I saw, what was it? Oh yeah, it was Terrified. Is it called Terrified? Terrified 2. Is it about like this kind of clown? I think it's called Terrified.
I'm not sure of the one. You're probably right.
Yeah, I did watch it because I interviewed someone who was on that film. So I was like,
Ah, okay.
I'm just gonna watch this film. And I ended up realizing that it ended up turning, yeah, okay. And also, since it was like a mini, yeah, it was not like this big budget, but it turned out like super big.
Terrifier.
Terrifier, there you go.
Yeah.
It ended up being like this crazy, like this crazy amount of, yeah, like super cool film and all of that. I was like, okay, this is cool. So I that was the last one I watched. I mean, I do enjoy them, especially if they can like somehow like get you. The thing that I hate the most is the I just forgot the word. Like this,
Say it
like
in Spanish.
uh, jump scare. There you go. I
Oh,
hate I
yeah.
hate jump scares.
My movie is not full of jump scares. I
Okay.
will tell you that
So
right
we're
now.
good. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Because like whenever a film
yeah.
has like a lot of jump scares, I ended up being like pissed because sometimes I know there's gonna be a jump scare. I'm like, I know this is gonna happen, and I prepare myself, and I'm already preparing myself like this is gonna happen now. And even though I'm prepared, they ended up getting me, and I'm like, you son of a, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, that to me is like the low-hanging fruit, that's like the easy way out. That's more of like a startle than a fright, and I'm interested in like deep fear.
hmm hmm
I mean, at least like from my perspective as a filmmaker and someone who's done several horror movies and is just a fangirl of horror. Like you mentioned, Terrifier, just kind of being like more low budget, sometimes I think can be really healthy, especially for movies in the horror, suspense, kind of,
hmm
frightening genre, precisely because when you don't have access to a lot of fancy stuff, you have to really like rely on your wits and just like good writing, ambiance,
hmm
pacing. Um, and so I really appreciate it when movies are able to make me feel something without all the bells and whistles,
Totally,
practical effects. Like I,
totally.
I love that sort of thing.
There was this film that I watched that till this day it's one of my favorites. It's called Babadook.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Oof. When I watched the film, I was like,
Love that movie.
this is exactly the type of horror that I like,
Modern
like
classic.
you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have like a very much jump scares. All of it is basically psychological, and when you watch it, you are expecting to see like what, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was one of those films that when I watched it with some friends of mine, we ended up watching and we had like this conversation after the film, and I was like, this is exactly what I like about like a film, like whenever it has like this opportunity for you to actually discuss it with friends, and everyone give like
That's the whole
their,
point.
you know what I mean, like their opinions and their insights here and there. I was like, this is beautiful, and until this day, it's still one of my favorite horror films because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the genre gets a lot of I mean, can get a lot of hate from people that don't necessarily understand.
Totally.
There are of course crummy movies in every genre, and maybe horror arguably has is even more flooded with less than ideal cinema.
hmm
Or stuff that's occasionally just like gore for gore's sake, or it's just full of jump scares, what have you. Like I'm not saying there isn't a lot of that, but I also find that broadly speaking, and I'm also kind of lumping horror, kind of suspense, some of the stuff together. Um, that really it can, at least for me, pose some of the like most serious questions. And I think one of the reasons for that is because when we're in a state of fear or suspense, we're in this heightened state, and it's something we seldom experience. I mean, hopefully, in our daily lives. And I'm always curious to see like what that brings out in people, whether it's the characters in the film or just like the viewers. And you were talking about having conversations afterward. And I think it can, at least some of the good ones, can really lead to compelling discussions for that reason. It's like we're in this extreme place.
Yeah,
And then, what comes after that can be really fascinating.
totally. And and tell me, like, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about horror films?
I guess that I think that they're all sort of in the slasher category. I think when a lot of people think horror, and they're not wrong, like to me that obviously it's a subgenre of horror. But when I talk to people, there's this assumption that that horror just kind of means slasher, like
Mm,
Halloween, guy with a knife, whatever.
yeah,
and I love Halloween, don't get me wrong, but that kind of, casting that same pall on the entire genre, I think is a mistake. And then also I think it's not to say that there aren't writers, directors, etc., people that exploit kind of like occasionally like hypersexualized versions of situations or, super gory stuff. Or you have like kind of the torture porn subgenre, all that stuff. I think a misconception is that it's all like that and that it's all meant to just bring about like repulsion or just shock you right into disgust. And I think that it doesn't have to all be that, I've had conversations with people where they're like, oh yeah, well, it's just like exploiting people's, base fears, or it's like the lowest of the low. I don't think that it has to be like that. I feel like I've seen some really elevated horror films, so I think like it's a mistake not to see the genre as broadly as it really should be seen.
Yeah, 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 I agree. I think that's one of that is like the misconception going on because yeah, when you talk about when you talk about horror films, the first thing that perhaps for some people might come to their mind would be slasher horror, all of that stuff, and
Yeah.
but like once you I mean yet again, I mean there's when you get the opportunity to kind of explore a little bit of it, there's actually pretty cool stuff going on that doesn't necessarily involve all of the gory stuff. So
Yeah.
I have friends
My
of
movie
yeah,
doesn't.
that that's
Not
great.
to give away too much, but I think you can frighten people without that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, some people just don't are not into that and that's fine, but when you actually give them like a really good story of horror and involve perhaps like a little bit of it here and there, but not to focus only on that, you might have like a really cool project to watch. Who knows? So,
Yeah.
and tell me like what were some of the unique challenges you faced working on this project?
Well, money's always an issue.
Yeah, of course.
Always like more funding. But one of the fun things I think about found footage, and I know that the genre is pretty flooded right now. Like I'm very aware it's kind of a saturated subgenre, but I also really like dealing in tropes and kind of expanding on them, changing them, making them my own.
Mm.
So to me, it was kind of the limitations also present an opportunity. And I like the idea of working within a very specific framework like found footage, right? So it's like, how am I going to tell this story without the ability to just come from absolutely any point of view that I want, right? Like we have to choose what the point of view is and stick with that. It's told through a mixture of the footage of the main character Stalker, of course, the main character played by me. I'm not giving too much away. You see that right away. And the security cameras that have been set up in her home. And so it was a challenge to integrate to find a way to like seamlessly balance those two different perspectives, but also to be able to tell a story only through that medium, right? I mean, we can't have like voiceover, we can't have fictionalized, we can't have zoom shots of so like that my character is a writer. That's what she does. She's a horror writer. She's like a best-selling horror novelist. A lot of meta stuff going on there. She's in Scotland researching. She's going to write a book about the witch trials. And, you find when you're making this kind of movie, you're trying to tell this story, all of these moments where you're like, I wish I could just show the pages of what she's writing because I'm trying to tell the audience the story of what my character's writing. But you can't do that because there's no opportunity vis-a-vis found footage to do that, right? Like there are so many like difficult limitations through like because of the subgenre, I guess, of found footage. So that was really interesting to kind of work through. So while still trying to give, viewers this like multi-layered experience of what I'm thinking, there can't be sort of like any monologuing because there's no one else in the film, right? So that's kind of the second hurdle is I'm being watched. I'm talking on the phone to people. I have conversations that way. We talk to ourselves sometimes. I think all people do that. There's a little bit of like soliloquizing, but nothing dramatic. You don't want it to come across as campy, cheesy. So really just finding ways around all that still tell a story that has a lot of layer that I think has quite a few layers. because I'm writing a book and I'm trying to convey to the audience, what is this book about? And then there's this whole plot of the person watching me and why. And I'll stop right there in terms of telling you what happens. But yeah, I mean, I would say that those are some of the biggest hurdles, but also really great opportunities to hopefully tell a unique story uh, through a kind of tactic that I know is a bit saturated, but and I hope I'm bringing a new spin to it.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. And what do you hope audiences take away from this film?
Well, we're talking about this before you've seen it. You'll get to see it in a few weeks. And maybe people will see this having seen it already. So I'll try to tread lightly around giving anything away. Um, but w- there are a couple of sort of larger ideas that I'm trying to discuss through the movie. One of them is that um, what I'm curious. The primary question of the film, I would say, is like, what is the responsibility that we have as creators, people who create film, right? Just artists, creators, to the subject that we're writing about. So my character, Leona Chantrain, the writer, she's doing research on Scottish witch trials, as I mentioned, and she's telling the story of someone who actually was, hanged, drowned and hanged, and as a witch. And claiming actually, because she is a writer of fiction as well, who uses, nonfiction to inspire the fiction, but claiming that this person actually was a witch. And so, what is the responsibility to our subject matter that we have as creators? And I think the other question, also it has to do with she's the character, and this is true of me too. Um, Profoundly not d me myself and the character, we do not have a belief in the supernatural, but we're very curious about it and do exploit it, right? Through writing about it, through making films about it. I want to believe, but I don't actually. And so that is the other question that I'm kind of examining in the film because Leona's character is, she's being questioned, her beliefs in the supernatural are being questioned, and sort of the idea is like, what right do you have to exploit this genre if you don't really believe in it? And so that's the other kind of thing that's explored in the movie.
Mm.
And I won't get too much deeper into the specifics there.
Yeah, of course. Of course. And how was working on this horror film influence your view of the genre itself?
Well, I certainly have not before had the experience of doing all of the post-production side of things. So I've acted in a lot of things. Obviously, that's my first love. But this was the first time that I got all the way into post-production. So I've got another film right now that I'm in post-production for. So I'd written other things before. I'd filmed other things before, that I've written. But this is the first time I had to actually deal with the other, again, the post-production side of it. So uh, to me, that's just been a very new experience, like working with a distributor, kind of being the person to do all that stuff. I created my production company. It's fully formed last year, Amanda Kills Media. Um, ACAM, my initials are ACAM.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that side of the whole thing has been the really new thing for me. And I'm hoping, to get a few more things out there. But specifically what I've learned about horror, I think in doing more market research is really just that there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm,
You know, we're all just kind of like recycling, retooling, rewiring old ideas. And that's not a criticism. I think that's fine, at least that's how I feel about it now. It's just what am I bringing to the table? How am I reimagining this concept that's been used for, since time out of mind, really?
totally. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I do think also that it's okay to to take pieces from things that are already created to kind of create like your own thing. And if you think about it, sometimes we that is how we grow up as well. We will take pieces from everything we seen here and there to kind of form our own personality, our own beliefs, all of that. So it's
Yeah,
understandable that,
that's a good point.
like that for this day, for films, I find it okay if they find like pieces from previous stuff that was already been done, and it's okay because you are able to create something new with something that has been, like with the with the foundation that it's already there, you know? So
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we ourselves are just patchworks, right? Like our
totally.
personalities are, and so that's just what we're doing when we create and reinvent.
There you go. And that's how you create this badass film, just saying. Epic.
Fingers crossed that it comes out as badass and doesn't fall on its face. No, it was either way. It was really spectacularly fun to make, and I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity again without as much hassle. Without so much hassle to
Mm,
film in a place like that. That was huge because normally you have to really. It's costly and it's a huge production to get locations like that.
totally.
So
But even though at the end of the day you had fun, you actually were working on something that you're passionate about, that is your thing, let's say. So I find
yeah,
that pretty amazing because I mean there's so many people out there who who just don't do it, who are just not following their dreams and the fact that you're able to do it, regardless. I mean, what I think is that I mean, of course, this film is gonna be, super badass, but if some people don't like it, that's fine. At the end, it was your thing and you were able to do
yeah.
it. I think that is like more. I think that should be like more, yeah, like more impressive. The fact that you were able to create something, to actually put the work to it, and now it's soon it's gonna be released. I mean that take guts for sure and a lot of time and a lot of stress, but here we are. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I spent a lot of time doing other people's movies, other people's shows, writing. Some of it was really great. Some of it I don't feel so great about. So I finally was just like, you know what, I'm going to take things into my own hands and write something for myself. And it's been really good for me, laying the groundwork for other projects that I'm working on now because I feel a lot more confidence around my ability to just pull something together.
Yeah.
And now that it's not a pandemic, I can actually have access again to other creators, other people, actors, and so on. So
Yeah, I have a friend of mine, one time he told me that I was complaining about life and all of that. I was having like one of those moments. So
as we all do,
but he was telling me, like, if you think about it, like, get the chance to think about what would your kid version would say about yourself.
totally.
You know what I mean? Like the fact that, like, if your kid version was able to see all of the work you have done and like where you are right now, let's be honest, that kid would be like super crazy and super excited to be able, you know what I mean? Like to realize all
Totally.
of all of the stuff that you have done. I mean, I'm pretty sure that
Hmm.
that if you were able to see your kid version, she would be, exciting knowing that you create a film, that she created a film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful way of looking at things. I've definitely had lows in my life where
Totally.
I've had similar thoughts and through the lens of like my childhood self would have been disappointed right now because I'm not, say pursuing what I imagined I would be. And that's actually what helped me to turn things around and go in a direction that's maybe scary, but is going to get me closer to doing the things I want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, and as we were saying before, I mean, we all have those moments that we question ourselves and all of that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we only have one life, and why not just taking the best of it, making sure that you are doing all the best to it
Hmm.
and enjoying it. I do think that sometimes we forget to actually enjoy stuff. We'll focus on sometimes on work and we forget to have fun. Every now and then just have fun, and if you are able to have fun on working on something you love, just do it, because life is too short, and once you realize time passed. You know what I mean? So it's
Amor
important,
fati, right? Remember you will die. It's
you
gonna
know.
happen to all of us. Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I also try to, like think every now and then to be like, so this is my moment. I'm alive right now. So why not just taking advantage of it any way possible that I can and to have fun, have fun, enjoy life, and whatever happen. And yeah,
Yeah, if you're not having fun, what are you even doing?
right.
What's the point?
It's crazy. And what advice would you give to other actors who are looking to break into the indie horror films?
I mean, and if talking about indie horror films specifically, I mean, I think that's a good question. I don't know, you know, I don't want to like big myself up here or anything like that. I don't know that I've sort of like made it, but I also don't know at what point you're allowed to claim that either, you know? So I think what I would say is you have to start behaving and believing you are the thing you want to be. And I don't just mean that in some sort of like manifestation, like spiritual sense. I mean, literally, you have to start saying, I'm an actor, I'm a director, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, right? And do those things instead of, because for a while I had this sort of feeling of like kind of shrinking and being embarrassed and just being like, well, I kind of like I do film, but, or, like I want to write something or I'm writing something, but like that's not really what I do. I think it's just really important to kind of like claim the thing you wanna be and do it, right? You don't, what's that phrase? You don't, think yourself into a new way of acting, you act yourself into a new way of thinking and being. Like, you definitely have to take action. You have to start doing the thing, but it can be a small version of the thing, like, it can be something low budget. If you're not you have to at least write the thing, like, just start. So that's the advice I would have given myself. And I wish I'd heard it years before I finally got to that point, you know?
Mm.
But hey, I'm here now. So that would be my advice just in general for, actors, creators, but also you asked specifically more about like kind of the indie horror sphere. And I would say I've noticed surprisingly, because I've definitely done, work in other genres, that the kind of like indie horror space is surprisingly friendly in terms of the people working in it, which might seem a little bit contradictory, given the content. But people are really passionate in some of these like more niche genres,
Mm.
And I think that can be really, I mean, that can be a really beautiful thing. Like if you're also, because I feel like I'm just such a fan at the same time as a creator. And I think that's really important to like maintain your sense of being a fan, so that you can love what you're doing and enjoy what other people are doing in the space too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I like it. I'll tell you what, if at some point I create my own indie horror stuff, I'll be mentioning you in the credits like this, thanks to,
Please.
and if I win an award at some point because of that, I'll be mentioning you also in my thank you speech, and I will cut the trophy in half so you can have, half of it.
I'll take it. I'll take half your, you know, well,
Sounds like
We'll see what
sounds
it
like a
is.
plan. I mean, it would look interesting, you're walking to the living room or or whatever, and then you see half a trophy and be like, what, what is this about?
This is me and Dan, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And like, t tell me, like, when can we see this film? Where can we see it? Tell me all about it.
So there's gonna be a free preview, just like you have one chance to see it for free before it's not free anymore, on the Terror Films Releasing YouTube channel. And so Terror Films is a distributor. They also, I mean, if any of your viewers are kind of horror fans, they also make the Hell House movies, great found footage franchise. I don't know if you've seen that, Hell House LLC. I was in the sequel, actually, Hell House, the Abaddon Hotel. And so that's kind of where my relationship with them started. But the people who make Hell House are great. I'll see those also on another note. But so Terror Films releasing on their YouTube channel is going to be the free preview where you can watch it on June 28th at 7 p.m. PST. And I'm also going to be there for a live Q&A, just like typing back answers. So if you think of anything as you're watching it for free, you want to ask me, I'm all in and we'll be there to answer. And then it's going to have a wider release on July 5th, across a lot of different streaming platforms. So it'll be on Amazon, Tubi TV, several others. So you can see the list of the different platforms that it's going to be on my Instagram, on the Terror Films website. Well, it shouldn't be too hard to find if you just do a Google search of that.
There you go. I love it. So it's going gorilla. It's going everywhere. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
mean, that's the way now, right? It's just going to be streaming. So
That's what I'm talking about. That's that,
you'll
that's
see
that's
it.
badass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna you even like drop this mic already and be like, what?
Mic
That
drop
is cool.
moment.
That is cool. And you know what? My last question. so we can all enjoy and relax after our incredible badass set of questions and conversations as well. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
You're really springing this on me.
Mhm.
I'm not thinking fast enough on my feet. Um, I don't know, something well, I mean, we're talking about witchy things, we're talking about horror, we're talking guerrilla filming, which I definitely did all around Edinburgh. So maybe wi witchy filming on the sly, secret I don't know, I got nothing. The tagline for the film is "Something wicked this way comes," by the way, which probably you've realized is attached to Macbeth.
Mhm.
And I also like I went to school for English lit, so I'm a huge Shakespeare fan, focused on Shakespeare. Started in theater and drama. So that was kind of fun to create. Double double toil and trouble, so we're evoking the witchy themes. But yeah, I guess just witchy badassery on the sly.
Okay.
What do you got? You name it.
Let's see. So I was thinking about to have like a mix between witch and gorilla. Something like between that,
Yeah, there was a lot of
because
guerrilla filming.
you know what I mean? So, but I don't know if mention it like the witch's gorilla or something like that. It's not, it's not like very, you know what I mean? So perhaps let's see here. Mm, mm, mm.
We'll have to think about it. A witch's work is never done, after all.
Or or something that just came to my mind like super quick. What about Amanda's Warfare?
I'm down. I love it.
I don't know, something like that, like something between like a mix of that. I'll be thinking about it, and I mean, once you see it, you'd be like, okay, this was the title to it.
I mean, you got to claw and climb in this industry, I'll tell you. So warfare is fairly apt.
You know what I mean? Something like that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm
But
looking forward to seeing how you brand this episode.
there you go. But I mean, at the end, what can I say? The fact that the fact that you're able to pull that through, to the fact that you're able to pursue what makes you happy, the fact that you are doing it, I mean, that is super badass. But also that is super inspirational. And I think that, like, that should be like the message to it, like to people out there who are either pursuing acting, music, whatever, to be like, what, there's people out there who are actually doing it and who are showing results. And yeah, sure, it's a pain in the butt sometimes, but it's the way it is, you know what I mean? And it's incredible. And I'm super sure there's people out there who besides knowing that you're badass, but also that sees you as a role model, and also who are excited as well to see this upcoming film. You were basically doing everything on it. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it. I mean, that's like super challenging to it. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to not having to do every single thing on future projects, but
yeah,
this was a wonderful lesson to me.
yeah,
And also, I do hope it can be inspirational, especially to other, you know, uh, minor, I will say like E-list celebrities like myself. No, no, but I think just like, as a woman in this industry, there are not a lot of female directors. I've worked with a couple that are fantastic. Tucky Williams did the Dagger Kiss series with her, Girl Girlstein. I haven't worked with really any other female directors though. When I think about that, that's really like that. I think that's, I hope that can be inspiring.
totally,
And I would like to keep seeing more and more of that. But I just think, yeah, it's like you can do this on your own. It's possible. And that is the message I would like to leave people with,
totally.
especially, younger filmmakers. So
Totally, because I mean, you are showing that it is possible. I do sometimes perhaps we see things that are complicated, but when we see someone who is actually doing it, it's amazing, and also it helps you as well and your career. The fact that you are not only acting, but you also know how to direct, produce, write, all of that. I mean, that is also like another stuff to add, to your work, but also and also who knows, maybe that will give you the opportunity to something else, and that will connect to something else, and And I do hope also that we can get the chance to see like more female directors, because why not have like more of it, there's able to, I mean, there's a lot of content that people can create, so why not just give the opportunity to more of that? So
Yeah, get more perspective involved. I think women have a different perspective and different lived experiences, and having a bit more of a mix, I think, can never be a bad thing.
Yeah, there you go.
In the artistic world, especially. So.
Totally, especially right now, since the world is just crazy sometimes. So
yeah,
right. But anyway,
tell me about it.
So yeah, I want to thank you so much for making
Hide
this
from the
happen.
crazy world. Watch my movie.
Epic.
That's my final plug, which is well.
There you go. So I want to thank those who stayed this whole episode. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, as I said at the beginning, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. Also, I mean, since you already know why Amanda's super badass, let's follow her. Let's make her viral. # Team Amanda, and keep rocking out there, Amanda. Keep shining. Keep being super badass. Just keep rocking out there. And I'll see you in the
Thanks for
next one.
having me, Dan. This was great.
Absolutely.